weekly session number 9. Today is a ball protection and turning practice, focusing on using your body to be able to hold off the opponent. Ideally, you'd like access to a whole pitch for the session. However, if you've only got access to half a pitch or even quarter of a pitch, this can still be adapted. You might just need to tweak the numbers somewhat. Equipment-wise, you'll need goals, flat discs, cones, balls and bibs. If you don't have access to goals, then you can place a couple of balls on cones, which acts as faux goalposts. That way, if a ball is shot and it hits one of the balls on top of the cones, it will bounce out, reacting like a post. The session objectives were players using their body to hold off the defender. This was the courageous aspect. Feeling where the opponent is. This was the collaborative side. And using small touches to keep the ball, which is being kind to yourself. The what of the session was focusing on ball protection in terms of holding up the ball. The how, following on from last week, we're talking about the 3 Bs, talking on using a side-on stance, using your arm to be able to feel the weight of the opponent, and also a bit of support from the midfielders. That way, if you do need to play the ball off, you can use them, but you can also use them to be able to disguise your intention against the opponent who's tightly marking you. Why do we do this? Allow multiple opportunities to score, keep the ball when there's no support. The when is in the creation phase of the build-up, and where we're looking specifically at the final third. Who would be the striker in terms of they're the main player that we're building it off, and of course the midfielders would also be integrated in that as well.
As I only had 10 players, the arrival activity was a 2 versus 2 plus goalkeeper game. The team of 2 without the goalkeeper had a small goal to defend, and the team of 2 with the goaler had with the keeper had a bigger goal. I gave the kids a bit of freedom to play and experiment. It was good for the players in the team of 2 to see how they could cope with scoring against the third player, and it was good for the team of 3 to think about how they could utilise the goalkeeper to keep possession and also protect the bigger goal.
The first part of the session was something I like to call the 1 versus 1 back to goal game. Now the way this game works, it's a 1 versus 1 variation of line ball. One of the players starts on their own line that they're defending. Their opponent starts in front of them with their back facing them and their legs open. Person with the ball then kicks the ball through their partner's legs, and it becomes a 1 versus 1 line ball game with the receiving player, the attacking player, looking to turn and attack the space behind them. The reason why we did this, first of all, the kids really enjoy it, but also I can highlight a few of these situations about in terms of how you can react when you've got an opponent behind you, how you can protect the ball, and how you can work that little bit of space to get past them. I used the league table format, so we kept points. We played for about 3 minutes, and whoever won moved up and whoever lost moved down 1. Once again, this offers a little bit of variation, so if one player is struggling against another one, the team I'm coaching is under a mixture of under 9s and under 8s, so there is a physical difference there. It means that they're eventually going to end up playing a player who's going to give them the appropriate challenge to be able to work all of these ball shielding skills and the opportunities to hold opponents off. The next part of the practice, we went back to a big goal versus little goal game. Now, I only had 10 players at the session, so that meant that one team had a goalkeeper and 2 outfield, and the other team just had 2 outfield with a small goal and no goalkeeper. From my point of view, I was just looking at organic ways for the picture of having the ball in front of you and having a defender behind you, protecting the goal, and having to think about how you're protecting the ball, maybe using a teammate or also using the teammate to disguise your intention and turn the other way. I wanted those situations to develop organically within a game scenario. The other thing is I found with these kids, they get a lot more out of playing games and learning from the situations that are happening in games than they are doing unopposed practices that maybe have to stop-start all the time. Of course, you'll know your players better than I will, so you might prefer a set start situation in this type of game. You might want a particular scenario that you're focusing on. Again, you know what your players respond to better than mine. I feel at the moment these under 9s, they work better with somewhat slightly unstructured play, although every now and then there might be a condition thrown in that will encourage the things that I'm looking for from them. I did try and manage the team out of possession at the start of the practice by encouraging players when their team was out of possession, could they mark goal side to make sure that if a pass does go, the player receiving is likely to have that pressure coming from in between them and the goal rather than just being able to turn easily and go and score. Once again, trying to get them thinking about how they're going to shield, how they're going to protect, how they're going to make sure the opponent isn't able to get the ball off them. The final game was a hold-up play game, split the field into thirds. There was a striker and a man marker in each attacking third. Those players had to stay there, and then the midfield players, the other players, were able to move up and down the pitch as needed. One of the conditions in this game was they had to play through the striker. So when the ball went into the striker, they were obviously going to have to hold the ball up from the person marking them and either wait for that support or look for opportunities to beat them. In order to make sure everyone got opportunities as being locked in a zone, but also being given that freedom to move, we switched the positions round about halfway through. So players got to work not only on their hold-up skills and their ball protection skills, but also in that midfield area in terms of how they're providing support if they see a teammate protecting that ball and waiting for that help to come. From a personal point of view, one of the players got a little bit frustrated in that practice by getting locked into a zone. There was a little bit of a sulk as a result of it, and that's something that you might have to manage with your players depending on what their personalities are like. If you've liked the video, then make sure you give us a thumbs up. I'd also like to mention that we've got a really helpful app with tons of tools on it that's going to help you coach your team. You can download it for free at our website, foundationagecoaching.com. And don't forget, if you want to see week 10, make sure you follow us.